The morning in court began like so many others. People filled the room, some for unpaid tickets, others for small violations, and many just hoping to get through their cases quickly. But on this day, a moment unfolded that touched every soul in that courtroom. A man was called to stand before Judge Frank Caprio. His face carried the exhaustion of struggle, and his eyes revealed a story far deeper than just unpaid fines. The judge, as always, opened gently. "What brings you here today?" The man's voice was soft, almost breaking. "Your Honor, my car was booted and then towed because I couldn't pay the parking tickets." It was nothing unusual at first. Many had stood there for the same reason. But there was a weight in his words. Judge Caprio leaned in a little, sensing more behind the story. "And why couldn't you pay the fines?" the judge asked. The man paused, fighting to steady himself. Finally, he spoke, his voice trembling. "I've been going through very hard times. I don't have a place to stay anymore. I live in my car. That car is my home. Everything I own is in there." The courtroom fell silent. He continued, tears beginning to form. "Your Honor, if I lose that car, I lose everything. I'll have nothing left." Those words carried the weight of not just financial trouble, but the pain of homelessness, the struggle of trying to survive when the world already feels stacked against you. His testimony was more than an excuse. It was a glimpse into a reality many never see. The judge listens. Judge Caprio's face softened. He had heard countless stories in his courtroom, but this one pierced through the routine of legal procedure. He looked at the man and replied with quiet compassion. "We have to have empathy for people who are doing the best they can under difficult circumstances." He understood that impounding the car hadn't just removed a vehicle. It had stripped away the man's shelter, his safety, his entire life. To lose a car is an inconvenience for many, but for this man, it was the loss of his last refuge. A decision of humanity. After a pause, Judge Caprio made a decision that would change everything for the man standing before him. He said gently, "I'm going to give you a break. I'll take care of the remaining fines with the fund I created in memory of my mother, Philomena." The man's body shook with relief. His eyes filled with tears that could no longer be held back. He looked at the judge and said through sobs, "Thank you, Your Honor. Thank you for helping me. Without you, I would have had nothing left." The courtroom, usually filled with the shuffle of papers and the sound of names being called, now sat in silence. Some in the audience wiped their own eyes. They weren't just watching a legal case, they were witnessing humanity in action. More than a case. This moment wasn't about a parking violation anymore. It was about the bigger truth, that sometimes the penalties for small mistakes pile up and destroy lives already on the edge. For this man, a few $100s in fines was an impossible wall to climb. For Judge Caprio, it was an opportunity to show that justice could be balanced with mercy. Laws exist to maintain order, but compassion is what preserves our humanity. Judge Caprio's decision wasn't about ignoring the law. It was about understanding the story behind the violation. He saw a man who wasn't careless or disrespectful, but simply caught in circumstances too heavy to bear. The power of empathy. As the man walked slowly out of the courtroom, something had changed. He no longer carried only the burden of loss. He carried a spark of hope, restored by the kindness of a judge who chose to see beyond the surface. And that is why this case went far beyond a legal file or a fine. It became a lesson for everyone watching and for everyone who would later hear about it. Judge Caprio showed the world that enforcing the law doesn't mean abandoning compassion. Justice and empathy can walk together. Sometimes the most powerful decision is not the one that punishes, but the one that heals. Conclusion. That day, in a small courtroom, the line between law and humanity blurred in the most beautiful way. A man who thought he had lost everything walked away with his dignity intact and his hope rekindled. All because one judge remembered something simple yet profound. Behind every case, there is a human being, and sometimes what they need most is understanding.